Doom Machine is an intense card and dice mint tin solo game where you face off against an ever-evolving machine of death and destruction. Your goal is to uncover and defeat the Doom Core before humanity is annihilated. But beware, the machine evolves, grows, and cycles each of its parts every turn, growing stronger and more nefarious over time. Here's a quick look at how to set up and play. For setup, start by setting the Doom Machine tracking card to your left. Place corresponding tracking cubes on the 0 spaces of the Sentience and Power tracks. Then look through the deck and find the Doom Core Machine Part card and place it face down to the right of the Doom Machine tracking card. Shuffle the remaining Machine Part cards and remove 6 at random. Set those back in the tin because you're not going to use those for this run. Place the 10 remaining cards face down on top of the Doom Core to create the Machine deck. Now place the player hit point tracking card below the Machine deck. Set the white tracking cube on the 10 space of the player hit point track. Now draw the top 3 cards from the Machine deck and place them face up in a line to the immediate right of the deck. These are the starting Machine Part cards you'll face. Take 1 yellow die for each revealed Machine Part card and place it on the yellow dice slot on the cycle track of each card, setting the die face to match the indicated value. This represents each Machine Part's hit points. Then set the remaining unused yellow dice aside for now, and place your 5 black starting dice in front of you. And that's all you need to do for setup. The gameplay loop for Doom Machine follows 2 different phases. Phase 1 is the dice roll and resolution phase. On each turn, you'll roll your available dice and allocate them in various ways to modify your rolls, defend against incoming damage, and deal damage to parts of the Doom Machine. And then phase 2 is the machine phase. Once you've allocated and resolved all of your dice, the machine will cycle its remaining parts, resolve their effects, then grow by 1 additional part card. And then this 2-phase loop continues until either you have revealed and destroyed the Doom Core, or you're destroyed by the machine. Let's dig into what each of these phases entails. At the start of your turn, roll all of your available dice. You start with 5 black dice and may gain up to 5 additional yellow dice from destroyed machine part cards. Once you roll, allocate your dice in any of the following available ways. Activate any available utilities, play dice to your shields, or deal damage to machine parts. Let's look at each of these. The first potential player action you can take is to activate any available utilities. You may place any number of unallocated dice on available utility slots. Each utility slot can only be used once per turn, and all dice you intend to place in utility slots must be placed there and immediately resolved, which is either re-rolled or modified, before any of them can be reallocated to either shields or part damage. These icons are dice modifier slots. When placing a die on a dice modifier slot, immediately flip the die to modify its face value up or down by 1 pip. Leave it on its utility slot until all other dice have been resolved. And just to note, 6s cannot be changed to 1s, and 1s may not be changed to 6s. And then these are dice reroll slots. When using a reroll slot, immediately reroll the dice and place it on the slot until all other dice are resolved. Once a die is rerolled, it can't be placed on another slot to be further modified. Once all utility dice are resolved, which means either rerolled or modified, remove them from your card and allocate them to either shields or damage if possible. Any unallocated dice that cannot be played are considered spent at the end of your turn. The second potential action you can take is to play dice to your shields. You may place unallocated dice, including dice that have been modified via utility slots, to available shield slots, gaining shield strength equal to the total face value of all dice placed there. In a normal game, no more than 4 dice can be placed this way per turn. Additionally, dice used for shields do not persist from round to round. They're re-rolled at the start of your next turn. And then the third way to play available dice is to deal damage to machine parts. You may deal 1 damage to a given machine part card by successfully fulfilling the roll conditions and allocating the required dice to the part. When a part is successfully damaged, flip the part's yellow hit point die face to reduce it by 1 pip. Then place any of the dice you used to damage that part card below the card. These dice are spent and cannot be reused until your next turn. A machine part can be damaged more than once per turn, but you must have enough dice to completely fulfill the damage condition each time. If you happen to reduce a machine part card's hit points to 0, you've destroyed that part. What you're going to do at this point is remove the card from play and permanently add that card's hit point dice to your dice pool, starting on your next turn. Then you're going to shift any remaining machine part cards to close the gap left by the part you destroyed. Some machine part cards have a yellow X icon and effect on them. These effects are triggered and resolved immediately when that part is destroyed. Okay, so right now I'm going to rewind and do a quick player phase example turn to show you how this all works. First, I'm going to take this 5 and plug it into one of my dice modifier utility slots, which lets me increase it to a 6. This will let me pair it with the other 6 over here in a second to damage the middle machine part card. Next, I know that I'm going to be taking some damage during the machine phase when the Doom machine cycles, and we're going to get to that in a moment. This pair of 1s and a 2 doesn't really help me that much, so I'm going to plug all 3 of them into reroll utility slots. I'm going to reroll these immediately and place them on the slots. Now that I've used all of the abilities that I plan to for this turn, I'm going to remove the modified dice and allocate them. And at this point, I can't use the utility slots to modify anything further this turn. First, I'm going to take these 2 6s and use them to fulfill the middle machine part card's damage condition, dealing 1 damage to that part. Looking at all the machine part cards in play, I know I'm going to be taking a combined total of 8 damage when the machine cycles during its turn. So let's put the rest of these dice on my shields to block. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do this turn. When all of your dice have been allocated and resolved, or you have no more dice to play, proceed to the machine phase. At the start of the machine phase, go from left to right down the row of machine parts in play, cycling each card's dice track and resolving its ability as follows. First, move a machine part card's yellow dice 1 space down its cycle track. If that dice lands on an icon, immediately trigger the icon's corresponding ability. In this case, this first machine part card would fire its ability, increasing the Doom machine's sentience and power tracks both by 1. Also, one thing to note, if moving the die places it on a dead space, which is this darkened square here, what you're going to do is then move the die back to the starting position on the track. So each track will loop around as you play. With that first card resolved, now you proceed to the next machine part card in the line, moving right, and repeat the card cycling process until all part cards have increased their cycle track by 1 and resolved any effects or abilities that are triggered. Let's walk through that. This middle card cycles and deals 3 damage to me. Damage is always absorbed by shields first, so that knocks out one of my shield die I place for defense, leaving me with 2 shield die that can block a total of 3 damage. This last machine card part then cycles and deals 5 damage. I can block 3 of those points. The additional damage I can't block carries over and is dealt directly to my hit points. And if your hit points are ever reduced to 0, it's game over. Okay, so that's done. When each machine part card has cycled and resolved any effects, carefully slide the entire machine part card row 1 space to the right. Then draw a new machine part card and slot it into the available space. Then add a yellow hit point die to the first cycle tracking space on the new card, setting the die face to the correct hit point value for that card. And one thing to note, there can never be more than 10 machine part cards in play at any given time. So if 10 cards are active in the line, you're going to skip drawing a new card and proceed with play. And that's the end of the machine phase. When all machine part cards have cycled and a new card is added to the line, gather all of your spent dice, including any new dice you might have attained by defeating machine parts, and return to phase 1. This cycle repeats until you either win the game by revealing and destroying the Doom core card at the bottom of the deck, or your hit points are reduced to 0 and you're destroyed by the Doom machine. And those are the basics of how to play. Be sure to read the full instructions for card anatomy, symbol references, and other helpful info. Thanks for watching.